Dr. Gail Thomas served as president and CEO of the Trinity Trust Foundation in Dallas to remake the Trinity River Corridor. She is a founding fellow of the Dallas Institute and served as its director for the first 17 years. For over 30 years, she has conducted seminars and conferences on cities and city life, and her efforts helped inspire the design of and philanthropic gifts for Dallas's Santiago Calatrava bridges.
James Hillman's essay on Athena was reprinted as a separate book in 1980 in his Facing the Gods, when he was with us at the University of Dallas. This is the question: how do we acknowledge these intolerable fears which do not go away? How do we weave a structure within our lives to allow them a place? Well, now we're talking about the goddess Athena. This is her role, this incredible weaver and fighter. Now, ultimately, I see Athena as applied wisdom. Athena's mother is Metis. Just imagine this, Metis, a powerful queen whose epithet is wisdom. She was the daughter of Oceanus and Tethys. And some say Tethys was goddess of the moon. So just imagine Athena, whose mother is Metis. Metis is the daughter of Oceanus and Tethys, the moon. Imagine the moon and the oceans working together, creating this remarkable consciousness that produces Metis, wisdom of moon, pulling the tides, the waters, all of this consciousness creating Metis, wisdom. Now, Metis then is impregnated by Zeus. Zeus represents that old order, the new order coming in to overtake this old order that is Metis, Oceanus, and Tethys. This new order comes in and through impregnation of different ones of the old order brings in a new order, a new realm. So this is Athena. Metis is pregnant when Zeus, fearing Metis, swallows her. The problem was that Metis was pregnant. So now Metis, all this wisdom and all of this remarkable consciousness, water as consciousness, moon as consciousness, is inside Zeus in this new order. This new order that's trying to come into being, take over, subdue all these old wisdom goddesses, but take over. But Metis is in there, and pretty soon Zeus develops a fierce headache because it's time for Athena to be born, and out she bursts out of Zeus's head. Everyone was just stopped in their tracks by this fierce being bursting from Zeus's head. Hillman sees this powerful Athena as strategy. That's what he says in Mythic Images. Athena's art is the systematic plaiting of strands together. Her own person is reason and necessity. She produces a whole fabric, but all the strands are invited in, like as in the Erinyes. And you remember in the Oresteia, the old Furies are invited in. They're given a place by Athena. They were always feared and left out. Athena, after she also releases Orestes, in her wisdom and judgment, she allows a place for those Furies. Athena, in her ability to weave as a master weaver, is giving us a place, giving all of these old forces, terrifying forces, a place. Now, on the title page of my personal copy of Mythic Figures, I was greeted by a handwritten note by Jim. And he said, I'll read it here, 2 missing from this collection would be, Gail, would be Pandora and Pegasus, your territory. May you find new figures to stir your fantasy here, and I send with much love and thanks, Jim. And I want you to begin to feel how our culture, and I mean culture and not civilization, culture in a city are also the combination of these warring forces always at work that Athena is threading and weaving in this great fabric that we call city. The statue of Athena stood 42 feet high, 42 feet, that's four-story building, in the Parthenon, up at the top of the Parthenon. And I want to go through 5 elements in this statue of Athena that depict this goddess of the city, who is so much more complicated than just goddess of the city. I'll start with the most understandable, Nike, who is in her hand. Nike, who is known as Victory. Athena, the ever near, she of the terrible eyes, restrains Achilles from killing Agamemnon. She guides Odysseus home. She holds victory, that final vision of victory in pursuit, in her hand, much as a falconer would display his falcon. Nike represents victory via good judgment, wise counsel. Walter Otto says, Athena shows man what she desires of him, which is will to victory and courage. The next one is the Medusa. It's so terrifying that I can't even look at it very long. This Medusa is now worn on the breastplate, the aegis of Athena. And all of these little curlicues here on her tunic are serpents. What is it about this image of Athena that she takes the Medusa as her image, her aegis? I've puzzled over this for quite a while. You remember the story of the Medusa. She was one of the 3 Gorgons living on the edge of the earth, and she was the most beautiful of all the beings, all the girls, all the feminine maidens. And Poseidon desired her, and so she changed herself into a mare to avoid him. He changed himself into a stallion to continue to pursue her. And she fled into Athena's temple for protection. Poseidon follows her there and violates her at the altar of Athena. Athena is so appalled and repelled by this that she turns this most beautiful being, fecund, young, beautiful woman, into this. That's the scariest image I know of in our culture. If we imagine all mythic happenings as a permanent realm of the collective psyche, then we're able to understand the power the Medusa holds for us. What does it mean for our most creative and fecund feminine energy to be frozen and stuck and stopped? It implies that the source, the deep well and fountain of our creativity is not available to us, but rather held in a stasis until a hero like Perseus comes along to cut off the head of the monster. Amazingly, what happens? Out springs Pegasus. And she wears Pegasus on her helmet. So it's an extraordinary thing that Athena carries all of these images. We cut off the head, and out comes some kind of creative inspiration. Now, in cities, we know that this was the state, and this was the state in Dallas in the 80s when we started the Dallas Institute. We had one of the worst economic declines we've ever had in our city. 10 years later, the head was cut off, a deep well springs forth, and the muses have come. And we called that a park in the center of the city for Pegasus Plaza. And she gives Perseus that shield so that he backs into the Medusa, because anyone who looks at the Medusa head on is frozen, turned to stone. So he backs in and whoosh, cuts off the head of the Medusa. And imagine the motion here. Out of the most intolerable image that we can imagine in our entire culture, springs the winged Pegasus with golden wings. Imagination, soaring. Bellerophon is given a bridle by Athena to capture the Pegasus, and when he does, they go about the land and heal the land. The most winged, glorious healer comes out of that most intolerable image. And Athena is bearing all of that story in her image. When Pegasus' hoof hits the ground, then this well springs forth. It's the Hippocrene. And it's where the muses, Randolph, come and dance and sing, and rappers rap. But a culture is born where that hoof hits the ground. Pegasus becomes an instrument of divine justice when he throws Bellerophon, because the young hero is full of hubris, attempting to soar to the heavens, and Bellerophon throws him to the ground. Now, once again, it's Athena behind the scenes masterminding this scene. She guided Perseus in slaying the Medusa. And when Perseus brings the sack with this snaky head back to Athena and hands it to her, she takes that image, and puts it on her breast and wears this image as if saying, this is who I am. I can bear this. I can heal this. Athena, the strategist, as Hillman says, the wise counsel, the ever near, so that no matter what difficulty you get yourself into in the city, how difficult it is, it cannot be more intolerable than what the clear-eyed wisdom of Athena can manage. Let's consider the serpent Erichthonius. Athena appears in almost every image, with Erichthonius on her shield. Now, some say that Hephaestus, after he created the shield, the greatest shield ever done for Athena, thought he had the right to copulate with her. She steps aside, the sperm goes into the ground, and Mother Earth then brings Erichthonius to life. Athena, according to several mythographers, scoops up Erichthonius and carries him some in a basket in ritual, but carries him on her shield, on her sword, sometimes wrapped around her shoulder. This earth power, this earth energy, this vital, the beginning of all things that's represented in this serpent is also carried by Athena. And this is with her throughout everything she does in the city and in all of her makings. This is the creation of Pandora, the story of the creation of Pandora, which is on the base of Athena. And Phidias, when he sculpted the Athena in the Parthenon in Athens, put on the base of the statue the story of the creation of Pandora. So we know that Pandora was the first human created by the gods, gifted by all of the gods. Hermes took clay and water and fashioned the first mortal, the first woman. Athena gave the woman her soul. Zeus was angry at humankind for stealing the fire of the gods because Prometheus sneaked up the back way and stole the fire of the gods. Many people say Athena showed him the way. So Athena is masterminding the fact that the gods are entwined with humankind. The angry Zeus is trying to take revenge. Hermes gives her a cunning and thieving mind, says Hesiod. That story is the very base and basis of Athena's statue by Phidias. Jim Hillman went through such a remarkable statement about who Athena is in the film and the power of her as the goddess of the city. But I wanted to try to convey this profound enigma that Athena is. She is the ever near because she, of all the gods, engages every aspect, every spectrum of our being. We might say she, as applied wisdom, what Hillman calls strategy, is the movement of ancient truth in ourselves and in our civilized world as we band together to create a culture in our towns and cities and here today as we invoke mythic images.